G'day avocado enthusiasts and welcome to Scott Grows an Avocado Tree. On this channel, usually I talk about avocados and other plant things, but at the moment in Melbourne, Australia, it's winter. And my avocado trees, whilst they're doing fantastically, at the moment aren't doing a lot because it's winter, it's cold, they're not doing a lot of growing. So I thought we would do something a little bit different, still avocado related, and we're going to do some avocado craft. So welcome to this new series where I will occasionally post a video called Crafting with Avocados. And in this installment of Crafting with Avocados, I'm going to be showing you how to make polymer clay avocado earrings, just like the ones that I have got here. These are, I think, really delightful and pretty easy to make, and you don't need too much in order to do it. They make really lovely gifts. I made 20 or 30 pairs of these last year to give away to people in my life, people who wear earrings anyway. But you can also do other things with these, and I'll be showing you other things that you can do at the end of this video. But let's get started. So there are a few things that we'll need. So we're going to be making these out of polymer clay today. I'm going to make two halves of one avocado. Now obviously they don't go together perfectly because they're earrings, but I'm going to make two halves so they're a matching pair and one will have a seed in it. The other one will not have a seed. So what all I need to do is not too much. Now you can mix colors if you want, but I found that you can actually find these colors pretty easy at a lot of different craft stores. So I'm gonna need a dark green, I'm gonna need a light green, and we'll also need a brown. There are a few tools that I like to use when doing this as well. One of them is just a regular butter knife. Another is a kind of clay tool. It's helpful for shaping things. I don't actually know what this is called, but it does the job reasonably well. I'm also going to need some fine pliers. Now you can get jewelry making pliers, but I find that these little ones will do the job as well. Why do I need the pliers if we're working with polymer clay? Well, because we're also going to be working with jeweler's wire, and I'll explain why fairly shortly. Then there's the other earring hardware. I like to use jump rings. You don't have to for this, but it's certainly helpful. And I also am going to be using earring hooks. These are like shepherd's hooks. I haven't done these with studs before. You probably could work it out, but I'm just going to use hooks for today, but they don't come in until a little bit later. So we're going to start by making the avocados themselves. So let me show you how. When doing crafting, I also recommend having a drink of some kind. I've got water with a squeeze of lime. That's what I'm drinking this evening. So I'm going to start with my dark green. This is going to make the avocado shape. Most of this project is this color, which is why I've used so much more of it than my other ones. So I'm going to start with this one. I don't need much because they're only little. I only need to use from like this amount, maybe 3 or 4 centimeters. So I'm going to start with not quite a cube, but I'm going to use this shape here. Now I'm going to start working it into an avocado shape. With polymer clay, the more you work it, the more workable it becomes. So as I work it, as my fingers start moving it, it's going to start to be able to be shaped a lot easier. So I'm going to just work it with my fingers a bit to make it nice and easy to work with. And it's softening up nicely now. And we're just about ready to start turning it into an avocado. Okay, that's looking pretty good now. I want to shape this into an avocado now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it into a bit of a ball, and I can do this on my chopping board here. When working with polymer clay, like to use a really cheap chopping board because it's really hard to get ground in bits of polymer clay out of a chopping board. So I have retired this chopping board to be a polymer clay working chopping board exclusively, and the same with all the other tools I use on the clay itself, except the knife. Stainless steel is pretty easy to clean. Everything else is just for polymer clay. Okay, so I've got a bit of a ball there, and now I'm just going to work it with my fingers. I'm going to pinch one of the ends to elongate it, and I'm going to try and keep the other end pretty round. So I'm just stretching it out a little bit so that it looks actually quite like an avocado. And the great thing with it, when you've only got the one color in there, if you need to just squish it and start again, you can. So have a play with this one. The stakes are pretty low at this point. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that shape now. That's looking quite avocado-like. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to cut it in half. Now I'm gonna need to reshape it a little bit after cutting it in half, because it's going to squish around a little bit, but I can do that. So I'm going to use my knife and I'm going to come in and just chop it in half. And you'll see that the side that was on the chopping board has flattened out a little bit. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just pushing. They don't have to be like truly identical. I know that we've cut them in half. They're two halves of the same avocado, but if they're slightly different shapes, it's not going to make a huge difference. And if there are like weird lines going down here, I'm also not going to be too worried about it because you're not going to be able to see anything that is in here. So happy with that one now, and we'll do this one as well. I am pretty happy with my two halves of my avocado. Now I'm going to get some hardware involved. I used to just use jump rings and attach them kind of as a last minute thing. So the little hoops that the rest of the hardware, the hooks would hook into. But what I was finding was that it was a little too brittle and occasionally an earring would break. So what I'm doing now instead is I'm embedding some jeweler's wire within the earring itself. So I'm going to take and I'm hoping you can see that okay on the camera. Yeah, you can kind of see that. It's very fine, like I'm using the 26 gauge jewelry wire. If you use a little thicker, it's not going to be a big deal, but it doesn't need to be any thicker than this really. I'm going to take about a 5 centimeter length, well 2 of them actually, and this doesn't have to be exact because it's going to be going inside. So long as you can wrap it around inside, it'll be fine, and we can trim it later if we really need to. All right, so I'm going to grab one end with the pliers and start twisting, and then I'll twist it around again to make just a little hoop. Now it can be bigger than this if it needs to be, but I just need a little hoop that looks a bit like that. Doesn't have to be exact because this is actually going to be inside the avocado. You won't be able to see it. Then I'm going to just twist the rest around to make a bit of a loop, and I will cross it over towards the top-ish just to make sure that we're definitely in a loop together. This bit is a little bit fiddly, but take your time. There's no hurry. So I've got a bit of metal that looks like a strange avocado, maybe. That's really hard to see on the camera, I guess, but what I've got a tiny loop at the top and I've got a larger loop down the bottom. So long as it fits inside the avocado, that's going to be fine. I'm now going to take one of my jump rings. I am using silver. I'm using the same color for all the hardware, so I'm using silver hooks and silver jump rings. If you want to go for a different look, that's fine, but I think probably looks best like this. Now I can prise the jump ring open using the pliers, or I can, kind of like a key ring, slot it over into the loop. Because I've got one of the ends there, I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to make sure that it's inside the smaller loop. Twist it around a bit. It's okay if it goes out of shape a little bit as well. And I'm going to give it a little twist just to lock it in place. And I'm going to use the pliers to do that. Okay, fantastic. Now, this is just really going to act as a bit of a frame for the avocado earring so that it has a bit more strength. It's less likely to snap off. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take one of the avocados. I'm going to have it so that the jump ring is right at the top there. And I'm just going to press it into the clay there. And once again, it doesn't matter if there's a bit of a mess here because it's all going to be hidden. As long as the other side is pretty clean, we can clean it up later if we need to. That's going to be fine. So that's all I need to do for that one. And I'm going to repeat the process for the other avocado. Now, up next, we're going to use the light green. Now you can mix if you want to make it slightly less of a light green, if you want to have it slightly closer to the dark green. And in fact, if you wanted everything to mesh really well, it'd probably mix a little bit of the dark green in with everything, but we absolutely don't need to do that either because I think that's quite a vibrant avocado color, but an avocado color nonetheless. I could use a rolling pin to flatten this out, but really I find actually just using my fingers on the chopping board is enough. Probably need to soften it up a little bit first though. and just kind of stretch it out, because it doesn't need to be like paper thin here, just needs to be reasonably thin. Then I'm going to take one of the avocados and I'm going to place it face down, and I'm going to use my knife to trim around it. And once again, if it's not perfect, not a huge problem, because we'll be doing a little bit of shaping afterwards. When we get right to the top, I'm not going to go around the jump ring because I need it to not encase the jump ring later, because the jump ring needs to be able to be used as a jump ring to put the earring hook in. So that is a kind of avocado shaped bit of clay. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to join this and the base and shape it a little bit to match the base as I go, and use a little bit of pressure to squish the two halves, well, not halves, to squish the two coloured clay pieces together, because I really want that wire to be properly encased in both of them. At this point, it's going to be difficult to separate them, so I want to be careful that I'm not mucking around too much. I can do a bit of shaping of both of them to make them as avocado-y as I like, and actually I'm quite happy with how that one's looking. I'm going to repeat the process for the second one. Leftover bits that we haven't mixed with other colours can just go straight with the big bit here. We don't want to waste it. To get a smoother texture, because you might be putting fingerprints in here, it's to be expected, you can actually just use your fingers and glide it across the top, and it will smoothen it out nicely. Okay, there's some two pretty good looking avocados. It's time to add the seed hole. I'm going to do this with both sides, and I'm going to add a seed in the middle on the second one. This is where I'm going to use my tool to kind of start prodding around in the middle to make a bit of a hole. I don't want to go too deep. It doesn't need to be too deep, and I don't want it to bleed into or cut into the bit below. I don't want it to cut into the dark green at all, so I don't want it to show through. So it doesn't have to be deep, and I can kind of smoosh it around to flatten it out a bit. I'll smoosh it around to smoothen it, just like that, and use my fingers to blend any of the kind of bits that are jumping out. Okay, there we go. That's pretty reasonable. I'll do the same on the other side now. These we just kind of keep going until we're happy with the shape. And now that we have made two holes in both halves of avocados, it's time to decide which one is the worst, because that's the one that the seed's going to go into. I think for this one, actually, the second one I did, the divot isn't as good, so I'm going to put the avocado seed in there. So for this, I just need a tiny little bit of the brown clay, and I'm going to make it into a ball so that it's slightly rounder at the bottom and slightly pointier at the top, just like an avocado seed. I think that that's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to just pop that into the avocado there. I can do a little bit of pinching as well while I'm here. Just want to make sure it's really properly connected and in there. Happy to have a little bit of a mound, and that is looking pretty good. So I need to now set these. Polymer clay, you need to put it in the oven, fairly low temperature. Make sure you're checking the instructions on your clay. For these ones, it's 130 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes for every 6 millimeters, or a quarter of an inch. So these are a little bigger than that. You don't want to overdo it, so err on the side of underdoing it, and if you need to do more later, you can. I'm going to put these in the oven for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back and we'll finish it off. Okay, so I waited about 10 minutes for them to be cool to the touch, and we are ready to finish these off. So I'm now going to use my earring hooks, the rest of the earring hardware, and all I need for this is my pliers. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take each of the earrings, I'm going to take the earring hoops. Now I want to be careful that I don't lose any of the other bits of hardware because there's that little ball and the coil thing. But I need to open it up and I need to make sure that it's going the right way. So the hook goes towards the back of the avocado, and I might just open up a touch more. And we'll thread it through like that and close it up again. Fantastic. And there is one of the earrings all done. Isn't that sweet? We'll do it for the second one. And it really is as easy as that. That's quite solidly on there. And that's our earrings all done. They are very, very sweet. But if you're going to give these to someone, you may want a card. So I'm going to take my card. You may want to use a pin to just pierce a little hole through it on either side so that you can thread the earring hoops through the little hole, and there it is. So today we have made two very sweet avocado earrings out of polymer clay. If you really like these avocados but you don't want to make them into earrings, you can also turn them into bookmark hooks like this one. These are super easy to make once you have just a couple of things that you need, and it's easy to make heaps of them. So if you end up making any of these, I would love to see. Please feel free to tag me on Instagram at ScottGrowsAnAvocadoTree. Regardless of whether you make these or not, I'd love to know what you thought about this video in the comments below. A bit of a different kind of video for me, but I think avocados are great. Why not do some avocado related crafts as well? So please let me know what you thought about this with the comments below and with the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to Scott Grows an Avocado Tree and you're here just looking for avocado things, you've come to the right place, because I do all kinds of things with avocados and avocado trees. So I invite you to subscribe to Scott Grows an Avocado Tree. And if you just want more of my stuff, if you found this video just listening to me put together some earrings, if you enjoyed that, you may also enjoy my second channel, That's Pretty Cool, where I make videos about topics that inspire in me a sense of curiosity and wonder. We cover all kinds of things and it's lots of fun, and I think you'll find it interesting. Thank you once again for watching, take care, and we'll see you next time. Now I need to work out what I do with these because I can't wear earrings. I don't have my ears pierced, so I guess I'll give them to someone. This is not a giveaway. I'm not doing a giveaway at the moment, but you know, there you go.
Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree.